Hi from Townsville, Australia. I got a little touch this morning. I got video and a message from one of the members of our group that was in tears about how she'd seen so much wonderful just movement of the freedom and is concerned now that things are not going the way she thinks they should. And I just wanted to give my thoughts on that, and I think running a global group gives a bit of a different perspective, and I'd like to encourage you. You know, I got really down at first about the fact that there was a complete lack of leadership here in Australia. And then those that were leading, you know, had their agendas that obviously didn't line up with everybody else's at times, but then it seemed to fragment and went in all sorts of different directions. And what became really evident to me here is that we're not the mainstream. Though there's not a person alive that doesn't want freedom. I did a little thank you rally at the American Embassy here in the city that I'm in Canberra. And I remember saying, you know, even the police want freedom. And they do. The police want freedom. There's not a person alive that doesn't want the freedom, and I think it's so important that we keep that in perspective. But remember here, we're not the mainstream, we're the resistance. And as the resistance, if you have one head, that'll get cut off. They will destroy it, they will defame it, they will drag that person through the mud and back again. But the way it is now, and people have said there's so many groups, there's so many convoys, there's so many, you've got to understand that our weakness is actually our greatest strength. And I think you always have to look at your weakness in life and think about that and realize that it can be your greatest strength. And the greatest strength that we have is there's not one head. If they cut me down, somebody else will rise up. They cut me down, there's another 10. They cut those 10 down, there's another 100. But if there's one, if it was Scott doing it all, then I'd probably be dead by now. I would have disappeared in the night. But when there's so many of us, it's difficult. So what they do is, I believe, they keep us busy with distractions, just, you know, and very valid things, some of them. But I think the one thing we need to focus on, and if you're not already part of it, I suggest you join the Global Inflation Global Freedom Group, because it's talking about where the economy is going, and it's not about the economy so much, it's about the fact that we need to be prepared for what's coming. We need to be prepared. And they're hiding all of this in the bait and switch. They're baiting us into one thing, and that's off to another. And I think, as the other encouragement I'd like to give is, I was talking to a gentleman recently who is very passionate about his cause. And I sort of tried to slow it down. I said, look, it's wonderful you have that cause, but it's all under the umbrella of freedom. And if you lose the sight of freedom, it's all lost. I said, freedom is everything. Now, my son is restoring a Combi van, and it's a 1978 Combi. And now the garage is a mess, so I'm not going to show you the garage. But, you know, think about today. Combis speak of freedom, and people jump in a Combi and they drive off somewhere. But in all essence, the Combi's not the freedom. The Combi's a tool. Freedom is there, and because of that freedom, he's able to jump in his Combi van and tear off around Australia. Others are free on motorbikes. They jump on a motorbike. So if I make my cause motorbikes and I shout that motorbikes, 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 and Combis, and no, it's all the fruit, isn't it? We have to get to the root, and the root of what we want here is freedom. And I just would like to put a word out, a little shout out, a little encouragement to say, firstly, don't get discouraged that there's not one central leadership. I know in the US there's so many convoys. And I'm talking to the US with this one now, don't get distracted on that. Don't get discouraged on that. Because if there's 100 different groups, I can tell you now what's going to unite them is the right situation, the right disaster, the right pain. Because that's usually what gets people moving. But the point is they're there. So join the group. Do the little part that you can. A lady texted me this morning looking to just do some little helps. And do what you can. Volunteer in some of these groups. Start to get the word out. Build bridges between friends, between different groups. Because when something bigger hits, all those groups are going to come together. And then it's a mighty force. But right now, if they come together, they're going to be opposed. Like the J6 thing there in the United States, January 6th. There was a massive force. They opposed it. They destroyed it. And then they persecuted and harassed the people that were involved in it. Guilty or innocent. It lost its meaning, didn't it? Our strength is, our weakness is our strength. The weakness may be many groups, but that's a strength that's going to come out on top. With the right leadership, with the right person, with the right moment, it will rise. Jump in. If you're concerned about that, find how you can help. Talk to a group, the group that relates to you. Talk to them, find who they are. Get on our group, send out a request. Hey, does anybody need help in their group? You know, I'm in Utah. Does anybody need some help organizing? I spoke to one of the organizers from one of the states there recently, and she said to me, Scott, I'm the only one that's left in this now. I'm organizing this myself. Jump in. Jump in. Your moment is now. And don't get discouraged by that. And just remember now, it's a bait and switch. They want to get you looking in all sorts of directions. Stay focused on freedom. Stay focused on being free. And walk in the fullness of what that is to your life.